Hello everyone and welcome to Blaugrana Everything and welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the podcast as well. Welcome I guess to what is going to be one of those looking back at the past match, then looking forward to the next match kind of episodes of the podcast. We'll start of course by talking about some of the reaction coming out of that Elche match. You know, the one that Barcelona won by 4-0. There's been some stuff coming out regarding the likes of Gavi. We'll also have I'll just throw in a brief insert of Xavi and Eric Garcia's reactions, post-match, some of the things that they talked about. And once we're done there, we're going to take a little trip into what I'm going to be referring to here as Laporta's world. We're just going to take a moment and look at some of the stuff that's happening surrounding our president and surrounding some of those, situations like Negreira Gate, for example, and other interesting situations as well. I mean, did you know, for example, that FC Barcelona could win 2 La Liga titles this season? Yeah, it's crazy, right? So we'll talk about all of that. Then, of course, we'll get into that El Clasico stuff. We'll talk, team news, the likes, and just, my feelings prior to the match, and as well as the feelings in the Barcelona camp heading into what is going to be the 4th El Clasico Barcelona are going to play over this, past 1 month period. 5th El Clasico of this season, of course. It's going to be great just to, look forward to all of that. So if that sounds good for you, then, do stay tuned in here. That's what we're going to be doing. And if you're new here as well, then please do hit that subscribe button. I hope you have as much fun as I will, at least with this episode, because I am going to have fun. I can tell you that. I should probably maybe throw in some kind of disclaimer or apology or something like that for those who will consume this from YouTube. You're probably not going to have as much B-roll. Basically, there's not going to be much B-roll footage in that, so firm it, fight through it like a champ. And we're going to get through it. I mean, if you're a Barca fan, we're champs, right? La Liga champions elect. Let's go ahead and we'll start again. Like I said, by talking about that Elche match, one of the things that's coming out is some of the reaction to Gavi. Now, of course, we do know that prior to this game, Gavi had his contract scrapped by La Liga, deregistered, whichever way you want to put it. His contract, which, by the way, is still active, going by contractual law and all of that, that contract is still a thing. And Gavi is still getting the salary that is stipulated by that contract he signed. So, it's not like he's gone back to getting his youth team wages and he's gone back to being on, that contract from now. He's actually still on his youth team contract, which expires this summer. Anyway, coming from all of that kerfuffle and the fact that Gavi had to change his number, get deregistered as a first team player and then go back to being a youth team player, there's been some reports that Elche did look at reporting FC Barcelona to La Liga and to the Spanish Federation, citing, Gavi's participation in the match as, this guy shouldn't have participated because he was deregistered. It's pretty surprising, to be honest, because effectively what Elche were trying to say here is Barca fielded an ineligible player, and of course, if that was the case, Barcelona would have been made to, by default, catch the L in that match, meaning that would have been a by default 3-0 win to Elche, or I don't know if it's 3-1 or whatever the default result is. Just I'll probably Google it and put it up in the YouTube video. For those listening to the podcast, I apologize. I won't be able to tell you what it is, but you can watch it on YouTube if you want to know what it is. You know what I'm saying? Just watch this part. Anyway, that being the case, obviously FC Barcelona did have some answering to do or whatever, I guess, but it did come out and it was clarified by the club that prior to the Elche match, they did consult both La Liga and Spanish Football Federation to find out if playing Gavi was a viable option, whether or not there would be any issues, and both of those organizations gave the green light to say, nah, there's no problems, you can go ahead and field him. So, and as far as that's concerned, I don't think Elche's complaints are going to go anywhere, especially not with La Liga, considering some of the stuff that's coming up regarding Tebas, which we're going to get into when talking about Laporta's word and all of that. But, the Gavi reactions, we'll put it that way, from this Elche game, we can even just call it straight up hate. It didn't end there, actually, because the fans from Elche actually booed Gavi when he was getting substituted, right? Booing an 18-year-old kid for, being good at playing football. It's why would Elche fans of all people be booing Gavi? For what reason? Honestly, I don't understand it, but looks like there's one more fan base which Gavi grates at, I guess, because he doesn't play for them and he plays for Barcelona. And it's weird. It's just he's one of those players who you definitely want on your team. He rubs you the wrong way if you're an opponent, I guess. I don't know, because I say all of this, but he's got a very big fan base in the Premier League. Like, Premier League fans love watching him, even though he's in Barcelona. So, it's one of those things. Anywho, there was also some post-match reaction that we got to see from Xavi Hernandez and Eric Garcia, and it was really just them giving their thoughts on the game, which, to be honest, it's one of those games, like I had said in the match preview on the YouTube channel, it's one of those games where Barcelona is expected to win, right? Barca were expected to win this game, and so even when they do win it, it's kind of an expected result. Personally, anyway, as far as the reaction goes to the win, I did think there were some pretty good performances in here, underrated by, first of all, Gavi, who we just were speaking about. He had what was a very, very good performance on the day, and also another underrated performance apart from Marc-Andre ter Stegen, who got his 20th clean sheet of the season and 150th clean sheet of his La Liga career. The other underrated performance here was, I thought, by Ronald Araujo. With Araujo, from the moment that Xavi took over, there was always this narrative of like everybody knew he was a good defender. Like 1v1s, aerial duels, ground duels, all that kind of stuff. Everybody knew that Araujo was a good defender, but there was always the complaint of, he's weak with the ball at his feet. He's a Barcelona defender. He has to be more of a ball-playing defender, all that kind of stuff. And I believe that we did see that ball-playing defender side of him in this game against Elche. He was very, very good. And just looking at some of his stats from that match, 65 touches, 87% pass accuracy from 47 passes, 2 out of 5 on his long balls. Of course, that's probably where you've still got that kind of space for improvement. 40% accuracy with those. And just generally, dribble attempts, he had 2 and he was successful with 2 as well. So completed all of his dribbles. Of course, he did get the assist as well for Lewandowski, though that did come with his head. I think this game was one of his better performances. Of course, you can rightly say, this was against Elche, and I will not fight that. I won't hold it against you. It was against Elche. But you can only play against whoever's in front of you, right? And in the 78 minutes that Araujo was on the pitch, this is what he was able to do. And I think it was pretty good. Anywho, here's that little soundbite I promised from Xavi Hernandez and also from Eric Garcia giving their thoughts on the match and how the match went.
Yes, today fully agree, because today we show that we are a team, we are a family, especially with the happy with the players that they don't participate too much. Today they did really well. Jordi, Marcos, Eric in a new position, Ferran, Ansu, they score and they make the difference for the team. So I'm really happy and really satisfied, especially for the group. Today we show everybody that we are a family.
Yeah, I think we learned the lesson that we've suffered against Almeria. We knew they weren't in the best position, but we knew they had the new manager. They had also good players, so I think we took the game very seriously and now focus on the Wednesday game.
So yeah, that's pretty much all that there is to say about that match. Like Xavi has said, it was a good performance for the team as a whole, because we saw a lot of French players get their minutes and also a lot of players who were on goal scoring droughts, honestly, and all of the players who scored in this game had been on a goal scoring drought. You know what I'm saying? Lewandowski, Fati, Ferran, they'd all been on quite a few matches without scoring a goal in La Liga, and they were able to get that done. And also, like we saw Eric Garcia as well in that fresh position, that new position, which looks like he's where he's going to be used. Maybe we might see him there in El Clasico. I don't know. But before we got to talking about El Clasico, anyhow, we're just going to take a little detour through Joan Laporta's world, because there is quite a few things that Joan Laporta has been busy with. And the first of those things that Laporta has been busy with is something that I alluded to earlier when I asked the question whether or not you were aware that FC Barcelona could win 2 La Liga trophies this season. And I mean, I wasn't saying that to be like dramatic or something like that. Like, oh no, this is so, it's going to be so good, this league win, it's going to feel like 2. No. I wasn't being dramatic like that. I was actually being literal, because FC Barcelona have asked for the Spanish Football Federation to recognize the league title that they won back in 1937 during the Civil War. Now, the recognition of that championship is an old claim that the club until now had fallen on deaf ears with. However, just last week, the Spanish Football Federation recognized Levante's cup title of that same year, a fact that represents a legal precedent and one that has reactivated Barcelona's request, which they have wasted no time in sending to the appropriate organization. So both competitions, that is the Copa del Rey, let's put it that way, and the La Liga, were played with caution and obviously marked by war, since, free movement was impossible in what was, a war-torn Spain at the time. But of course, Barcelona did win that league title and Levante did win their cup title. And because Levante's cup title was recognized, Barcelona are now hoping that their league title as well could be recognized, in which case Barcelona will win 2 league titles this season. So you see, it's not like some clickbaity kind of stuff. It's for real. And that's just some of the stuff that Laporta is up to. The rest of what Laporta is up to, well, the rest of what's coming from Laporta's world, to put it that way, is stuff that has to do with our good old friend Negreira. Yeah, Caso Negreira, the Negreira Gate. And basically here, it was reported by La Vanguardia, or is it La Vanguardia, however you're going to pronounce that. It was reported by them that La Liga president Javier Tebas actually, and I mean like actually, submitted falsified evidence. He attempted, I guess you could put it that way, to falsify evidence so that FC Barcelona would, of course, get all those punishments that he so desperately wants, or at least so like Laporta would go away and step down, since that seems to be the thing that he most wanted to do. So following that, FC Barcelona issued a statement, which you can go and read this statement from the FC Barcelona website. I will put the link in the description, whether it's going to be on YouTube or it's going to be on the podcast platforms. I'm going to put that link in there so you can read it. But the gist of it is that FC Barcelona are asking for Javier Tebas to resign. That is, if it is of course true what La Vanguardia posted. So I'll just read the last 2 paragraphs from the statement. It's quite a long statement, so you might want to read all of it, but I'll read the last 2 paragraphs where it says, the article published today by La Vanguardia is of such gravity that it should put all the clubs in La Liga on alert, given that it talks of practices which are in no way consistent with the job of the president of La Liga. If only for this fact, that of giving himself powers that do not belong to him, although also for reasons of dignity and respect for the presidency of La Liga, Mr. Tebas should resign from his post. Nevertheless, aware of his obsession with persecuting FC Barcelona and showing his constant averse and manifest dislike for our club, we understand the current La Liga president will persist in his efforts to keep damaging our club. So yeah, it's a pretty long statement, passionate statement, which just about everybody agrees. This was probably written by Laporta himself. But yeah, you could go and have a look at that and you could see exactly what Barcelona feel and why they want Javier Tebas now to step down as La Liga president. So, it's basically just the latest chapter in Tebas versus Laporta, where last time Tebas was saying Laporta should resign, now Laporta is saying Tebas should resign. The only difference here is that what Tebas was saying Laporta should resign for, all of it seems to hold no water, according to the findings that have been published so far from, the tax authority in Spain. Whereas what Tebas is being accused of now, that needs to be taken a bit seriously, and probably just chiming in more or less like out of sync and just looking all awkward, like that kid who doesn't really understand what's going on and doesn't know how to read the room. UEFA President Alexander Ceferin made a statement talking about how Caso Negreira is the most serious thing he has seen in football recently, and it's such a serious thing and it should be taken seriously and looked at seriously. So perhaps he thinks that the Spanish public prosecutors didn't look at this seriously, in which case he can take it up with them. But going by how it went for UEFA last time when they were going after Man City and PSG, their things never really stick. So I don't know, but it looks like Ceferin wants the smoke as well. I mean, Laporta right now is feeling really, really energized, I guess. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. Let's just put it that way. But going by what we're hearing, especially with this falsified evidence business, I don't know if Ceferin should really be speaking right now. He should just be quiet and trying to see how things go. he shouldn't be trying to jump on Tebas' side, which is what obviously this is. Just like how Perez and Laporta were once on the same side because of the Super League. Yeah, because of that Super League business, Ceferin and Tebas are on the same side as well. Speaking of Super League, speaking of Perez, much like the last El Clasico, there was no meeting of the presidents, and Perez was not present at camp now in the, president's box to watch the match. That's going to be the case once again here. No meeting with Perez and Laporta prior to the match, and no Perez in the stadium for the actual match itself. And now that we're talking about that, let's just go full on talking El Clasico and more absences, really, especially for FC Barcelona. It's not looking very good here. Quite a few players are out with injuries. We've got Frankie de Jong out, with Andreas Christensen out. Danish Maldini isn't going to be present. And of course, there's Pedri and there's Ousmane Dembele as well, who are all unavailable. Now, obviously, Barcelona did beat Real Madrid at the Bernabeu with basically the same players all out and unavailable, right? You could have we added Lewandowski to that list of players unavailable. Of course, Frankie de Jong was there last time around, and he did prove pivotal, and he has actually proved pivotal in Barcelona's 3 recent El Clasico wins. And it will be challenging to see if that midfield can hold up as well without him and Pedri in it. Because, at least for the most part, Barca during these matches have had Gavi, they've had Busquets, and they've had Frankie de Jong. So, most of that midfield 4 that's been dominating has been around now. We really only have half of it around, so we shall see how that goes. It's being rumored that it's going to be Busquets, Kessie, Gavi, and Sergio Roberto starting in midfield. I don't think there's much of an argument to be had there, unless maybe you think one of Fati or Ferran should start. But it's expected, it's expected that Kessie will make a return to the starting 11. And of course, up front, we're going to see Rafinha and we're going to see Robert Lewandowski. At the back, there is going to be some shuffling, of course, just a little bit. From the last match, there's going to be, Alejandro Balde coming back in. And the rest of that back line is going to stay as it was against Elche. So we're going to see Marcos Alonso get to start here next to, most likely, Jules Koundé and, of course, Ronald Araujo starting on right back. Looking at, Vini over there on the right. And that's actually something which is important to note, that Vinicius is actually going to play in this game. There was some confusion, maybe even over here. I may have, in the match review, mentioned that there's not going to be Vinicius in the second leg. Well, he is. Apparently, those yellow cards before were all wiped out, despite the fact that for those who were watching the match live, you probably saw the little Mrs. Next Match notification pop up. I do remember seeing that. But yeah, it is what it is. Okay, so beyond that, there is actually quite a bit of words going around, at least going by reports from 21 Marti. It appears that in FC Barcelona, the dressing room right now is taking this El Clasico as the most serious match that they're going to play this season. They see it as definitely a must-win kind of encounter, which is pretty interesting because, personally for me, looking at the list of players who are unavailable, looking at, what's realistic within that framework, and looking at the fact that we still have a La Liga title to wrap up, I was, probably looking at this as being one of those matches where I'm cool with a draw, but going by the atmosphere in the dressing room, they want to win this. They want to make this 4 El Clasico wins in a row. And that's honestly very, very great to hear, very great to know, because we all know what El Clasicos were like for FC Barcelona just 2 seasons ago, right? Dreaming about just winning one, nevertheless winning 3 in a row, something we haven't done since prime Guardiola Barcelona. That's something significant, right? And right now they're loving that in that dressing room, and they want more of it. And I think that's the most important part of it. The hunger is there. For that, I'll be very glad. I'll be very happy to see the team win. And because of that, I want that win for them. Otherwise, personally, I'm cool with even a draw in this game. Beating Real Madrid, it's becoming a bit... I get accustomed to good things fast. What can I say, right? I get accustomed to good things very easily, and beating Real Madrid now just feels like one of those things we do every other Sunday. Anyway, that's basically that for me. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me on the podcast today, and we're going to see you after the match is played on Wednesday. It's going to be the Thursday, right? Yeah, Thursday, the Thursday before Good Friday. So hopefully it's going to be some good vibes coming from this podcast. Whatever the case, we're still looking forward to winning 2 La Liga titles this season. Absolutely crazy. Never been done before as far as I'm concerned. And it will make it a quadruple, really, if we can do that and we can win the cup as well. To be a domestic quadruple. Anywho, I thank you once again, like I said, for tuning in. Do have a great day, and Forza Barca.